been a day. Wonder if Tighnari's discovered anything. But things weren't looking good with Emilie's master yesterday. We should check on things at the hotel first.
He's there.
Emilie!
That was Edgar.
No longer in critical condition, thankfully. He's still very weak, but with a bit more rest, he should regain consciousness soon. My chemical analysis of Auguste also went smoothly, although it certainly raised some questions.
Questions?
I was able to identify the components that give the substance its fragrance, but I also noticed an abnormal trace of elemental energy in the sample.
Elemental energy?
Would that have an effect on the body? Actually, yes. It seems if someone used too much elemental energy to their vision, like Navia, it actually drains them.
Hard to say. It was such a minute amount, proportionally speaking, like mixing a single drop of perfume into the ocean. I had to use one of the newest tests developed in recent years to even detect the traces present in the sample. Unless you were abnormally sensitive to elemental energy, I doubt it would have any effect, even if you use the product every day for 10 years. As for whether Master's condition was caused by the elemental energy present in the sample or some other component of the perfume, it's still too early to say.
Oh, that reminds Paimon. Did Tighnari come and find you? Maybe we could ask him to take a look.
I received a message from him last night, but I haven't heard anything since. The message said he was looking into some information at the academia.
Oh, Paimon thought he might have stopped by to see you first. Excuse me? Is Miss Emilie here?
Oh, Collei.
Oh, perfect! Familiar faces! Traveler, Paimon, you're here too!
What are you doing here?
Collei. Ah, of course. Tighnari's apprentice. He's mentioned you many times. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. And please, no need for formalities. Emilie is just fine.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you too, Miss, Emilie. Did Tighnari send you here, Collei? Yep. Master and the others went through decades worth of records last night, and still haven't had a chance to rest. I'm fast on my feet, so it only made sense for me to come and give you an update. Anyway, based on what they've reviewed so far, they believe there's no indication that a researcher by the name of Vijava ever passed through the academia.
Could it have been an alias?
Master considered that possibility as well, but the name wasn't the only dead end. Master tried to track down people with a similar research direction or background, but also couldn't find a match. How is that possible?
Maybe her identity as a researcher from Sumeru was a ruse all along.
It's starting to seem very likely. If we want to figure out her true identity, I'm afraid another conversation with those two merchants might be our only...
Hey!
Sylvain?
Lucien!
That voice, it's
Sylvain! Wait, you don't think Kirya came back, do you?
That seems impossible. If someone came in or out of the hotel just now, we would have seen them.
maybe. Is there a window they could just hide behind something like that? Let's go and check. Why is Sylvain's or Lucien's room? I'm assuming it's Lucien's room.
It's locked?
I'll try to break it open. Ask her if it's gonna be a Danganronpa reference.
Lucien! Lucien! Come on! Wake up!
Is he going to be okay?
Emilie, my brother, he's gonna be okay, right? He's just unconscious. Like what happened to Edgar?
I'm sorry, Mr. Sylvain, but
He's dead?
we were too late this time.
Oh, no, that's not possible.
Traveler, Collei, Mr. Sylvain has gone through a huge shock. He needs some space to calm down. Could one of you take him next door? It's not good for him to look at his brother's body like this.
Just randomly?
Of course. Leave it to me.
I'll notify the sheriff.
Thank you both. Mr. Sylvain, let's get you up. Here, take my hand. Nice and slow. We'll take things from here. Just focus on getting some rest. Here, this way.
Something seems off.
Poor guy. He's like a shell of his former self. He may have made some bad decisions in life, but right now, Paimon can't help but feel sorry for him.
Good person or bad, the death of a loved one is equally painful. All the moments he shared with his brother, every hardship and triumph they endured together, are now memories he has to carry alone.
Maybe that's what Kirya wanted.
If Kirya really was behind this, then what exactly did he do to Lucien?
Lucien can no longer speak, but the traces left behind by his death most certainly can. Traveler, I've got things covered here at the scene. I'll leave you to contact the sheriff.
Who would have thought? Yesterday's case is still up in the air, and now this happens. Miss Emilie, I heard you're an experienced forensic doctor. Have you been able to discover anything?
Oh, I'm not actually a forensic doctor. I just happen to have some relevant knowledge. I did take a look, though. Judging by the temperature and rigidity of the body, it appears the time of death was sometime last night. I'd have to do a more thorough investigation to find out more.
Then, would you mind helping us investigate? Before he left, Tighnari said we could trust your judgment if something like this were to happen.
Of course, I appreciate your trust. Many of the traces left behind at the scene will fade with time, so the sooner we investigate, the better.
We'll help too. We don't know much about dead bodies, but you can leave the other clues to us.
Pupils are dilated, skin is flushed. No overt external injuries or signs of a struggle.
The same way that this person attacked Edgar, but this time killed him. Probably emergence bag. Okay. Incense. Is this also Auguste? Wait, but Auguste's not even poisoned. It's probably locked last night.
And the windows are shut tight too. Seems like the only way to get in would have been through Sylvain's room. Well, looks like we've investigated as much as we can. Let's go report back to Emilie and Shiam.
So, did you find anything?
There's no sign of forced entry. The only way would have been to Sylvain's room.
Paimon can show you. Here, it'd be something like this.
Yeah, because their rooms are connected by a door.
But entering through the room next door without alerting Sylvain... Wait, you don't think Sylvain could have been the one who...
No, his reaction to the loss of his brothers seemed genuine, and he doesn't have a motive.
Then what could have happened last night? I know Sylvain is still in shock, but he's our only available witness. We have to take his statement.
I agree. Also, I've made some new discoveries, so we might as well head next door and go through everything together.
Mr. Sylvain, I need you to tell me everything you and your brother did since yesterday afternoon. Did you see or hear anything strange?
After Kirya attacked Edgar, my brother and I were incredibly careful. We returned to our rooms and decided to lock all the doors leading to the hallway. The only door we kept unlocked was the one connecting our rooms.
Okay.
That way, if we heard any commotion coming from the other room, we could help each other. But I didn't hear any sort of commotion last night. Not a single noise. I woke up this morning, opened the door, and...
So that means Lucien died in his sleep, or before sleeping.
So, no movement from the room next door. No forced entry via Sylvain's room. No signs of a struggle at the scene. And no external injury on Lucien's body. What kind of cause of death are we dealing with here?
It's gotta be the
I
incense.
did notice a few things about the body. Lucien's pupils were dilated, and his skin was flushed. Very similar
But
to
no signs of
Master's
bottle.
symptoms after the attack yesterday. There weren't any traces of liquid in his mouth or nose, so it's unlikely he was forced to ingest anything. The more plausible
So
explanation
this
is that
is
he
poison.
inhaled the substance without knowing it. And I'd say that substance was likely Auguste.
Auguste? No, that's not possible. Inhaling Auguste won't kill you. And anyway, it would have been for just one night.
Just one night? So you're saying prolonged exposure is dangerous?
No, that's not what I meant. Emilie, you ran your tests, didn't you? Go on. Tell everyone whether you found any poison.
No, I didn't find any common toxins.
Huh. See? Auguste
She
is
said common
harmless.
toxin.
The market response proved that years ago.
That may be true for most people, but not for everyone.
Edgar.
Master!
Edgar? You're up and about already?
Thanks to Emilie, I'm out of the woods for now. Sylvain, no matter how hard you may try to hide it, the truth will always come to light.
Edgar!
Even if we could keep it a secret for another 10 or 20 years, do you think Kirya would just let us be? No, he would never give up. Not if he's doing all of this for Yelena.
Yelena?
That's Vijava's real name.
So Vijava's an
Yelena
alias.
wasn't a scholar from Sumeru.
Oh!
She was an exiled Fatus from Snezhnaya.
Oh, Fatui.
The Fatui. Well, that means the elemental energy present in Auguste was...
Ah, so you've already detected it.
Is it a delusion?
Well, Sylvain,
Or is this some sort of source that
no
makes
reason
a
to hide
delusion?
things now.
Oh,
The Auguste Flower was created with the mutative and distorting power
That explains it.
of a delusion.
See, now that
A
explains it.
delusion?
The Fatui, delusions... I never would have thought Auguste was hiding this many secrets.
Born of a delusion, Auguste contained distorted elemental energy.
Distorted elemental
Prolonged
energy.
exposure over many years could have a harmful effect on the body.
Yeah, we know that. We've seen this before.
That's enough, Edgar. I'll take it from here. At first, Yelena wanted to keep refining the perfume and the flower, but no one knew how long the
We know how
perfume
powerful
mania
delusions
was going
are,
to
but we
last
also know how
like that.
dangerous they are,
It didn't
and
have any effect
people that can't
on
handle it.
ordinary people anyway. Every day we postponed going to market was another day of lost earning potential.
So you decided poisoning people was worth the risk?
Listen, it's not like it was good for business. But all that talk about Auguste being harmful over time, Yelena was just speculating. The impact was practically negligible. Unless you were particularly sensitive to elemental energy or had an entire bottle shoved down your throat like Edgar. You could use the product for decades and be completely fine.
you would be fine because she didn't
It
know.
may be true there are no records of Auguste poisoning in Fontaine. But even if no one was acutely poisoned, willfully bringing a product to market despite explicit knowledge of its harmful effects is still a serious crime.
The divine and noble Auguste originated from a delusion. If the truth came out, the market for your product would be destroyed.
That explains why you were so intent on keeping Yelena and Kirya's involvement a secret all this time, despite readily
Because the
confessing to
moment
all
you
your
reveal that they
financial
are actually
costs.
Sintaian,
The Fatui, Delusions, Auguste. If the Marsh
It's
and
over.
Phantom discovered the connection between the three, there would have been enough evidence to send you to the Fortress of Meripede for life.
Ha! If I'd known coming to Sumeru would put a target on my back, I would have been more than happy to stay there. At least that way, Lucien would still be alive. All these years without any sign of Kirya, and he pops up out of nowhere the minute my brother and I get out of prison? It couldn't be any clearer who the kid's after. Auguste was harmless before. The fact that it's killing people all of a sudden must be his doing as well.
So there's bad blood between you.
What about Yelena's death? Was that a cover-up too? A way to destroy evidence?
I'll admit, we thought about it at one point. We took care to disguise the products circulating on the market, and no one was questioning Yelena's fake identity. But if the Mara Chaussee Phantom decided to look into the flower beds, it would have been
so you
the
burned
end.
everything?
Yelena's ties to the Fatui, the role of the delusion. Everything would have been exposed. Before we could even put our plan in motion, Yelena beat us to it. She burned all her flower beds and threw herself
So
into
she
the
sacrificed
fire
herself for you
as
two,
well.
and Kirya's getting revenge for her sister.
But if her goal was to destroy evidence, there would have been no reason to do that to herself.
No, there was.
Yeah, she could have just burned the flower beds and fled with
No,
her brother.
no, she can't.
I thought about it for a long time, but it wasn't until just now that I finally
History chases you no
understood
matter
her
what.
reasoning. Everything she did, it was for her brother, Kirya. One of the reasons they defected from the Fatui was the deterioration of Yelena's body due to her excessive use of a delusion. She didn't want her brother to follow in her footsteps after her death.
Wow.
After arriving in Fontaine, Yelena continued using the delusion to cultivate the Auguste flower, weakening her body even further.
So we now know that
There were times
anyone can use
when she
delusion
couldn't
among the
even
Fatui,
walk.
even Fatui soldiers.
So she couldn't flee with her brother because she was afraid of holding him back.
If her true identity was exposed, she and her brother would face pressure from both Snezhnaya and Fontaine. The Auguste flower and Yelena's own corroded body both bore the mark of a delusion. There would have been no way to avoid suspicion.
So there's only one way to get rid of that
So,
evidence.
In the end, she burnt it all to ash including
That's
herself.
kind of tragic.
With all the evidence erased, Kirya was free to take the Mora and run.
So the wealth you earned from Auguste, it wasn't destroyed in the fire. Yelena gave it to her brother?
Most likely. Before Yelena died, she said if anything happened to her, she was going to leave everything to her brother. We just didn't realize she meant our cut as well. That's why Lucien and I were searching for Kirya, to take back our Mora and the Auguste Flower. We just didn't realize Kirya was baiting us the whole time. It was all a trap.
But why is Kirya out for revenge anyway? Doesn't he know about Yelena's decision to sacrifice herself?
He doesn't see it that way,
I don't
probably.
think he knew his sister was nearing death. Yelena always wore heavy makeup around him.
See, he thinks
conceal her
Edgar and the
deteriorating
Merchant Brothers are the ones that killed her.
She
Not
kept
her killing
busy
herself.
with work to keep out of sight. That way her brother wouldn't notice how she could barely walk.
Then all we'll need to do is tell Kirya what really happened, and then he'll give up on his revenge. I'm not so sure.
It's not that easy.
Even if he knew the truth, he'd still find someone to blame. He might think Yelena was forced into using a delusion to cultivate Auguste, or something like that. It's hard to pull yourself out of that kind of hatred. Especially when
Collei
you've
would
been
know
living in
that.
headspace for so many years.
She knows from
Very true.
experience.
Even if Yelena's death was her own choice, I wouldn't call
It's
myself
really
innocent.
interesting how they brought Collei into this, knowing it involves Fatui.
What are you talking about?
Think about it, Sylvain. If we hadn't been in such a hurry to capitalize on the perfume mania all those years ago, do you think Yelena would have elected to take those risks? If we hadn't been so blinded by greed, so insistent on increasing the scale of the flower cultivation, do you think Yelena's health would have deteriorated as fast as it did? If we hadn't invited the Marechaussee Phantom to our doorstep by breaking the law at every turn, Yelena could have survived.
She knew her limits. She knew her days were numbered. Maybe it was for her brother, but she was in it for the Mora just as much as us. We were just trying to earn a bit of Mora. And what, we deserve to die for that? Target me for being the mastermind, sure. But what about Lucien? He was just following my orders. Lucien's crime, was it really so extreme that he had to pay for it with his life?
The only person that can answer that question is a judge.
Fine. I've said my piece anyway. Drag me back to Fontaine to stand trial. I don't care.
3 people from Fontaine, 1 from Snezhnaya, and a crime committed in Port Ormos. What a headache.
What's gonna happen?
Well, we can only wait until the Academia sends someone to deal with it. I'm guessing we'll have to contact Fontaine as well. In any case, we won't really know anything until tomorrow. With the exhibition, we don't even have space in Port Ormos to detain anyone. Such a headache.
The hotel could suffice. You could station a few officers to keep an eye on Sylvain and myself. Although with Sylvain's mental state and my physical one, I don't think you need to worry about a jailbreak.
Mr. Edgar, are you saying...
If Sylvain is to stand trial, then I deserve the same fate. A crime is a crime, accomplice or not. I'd just like to take care of a few things before I go. Say goodbye to my plants and all that. As for Sylvain, I'm sure he also has some goodbyes of his own.
So Lucien is actually just dead? Just like that?
Would you be willing to grant that request, Sheriff?
Well, all right. I'll talk to the academia. No matter who you were in Fontaine or what crimes you committed, the man we grew to know in Sumeru proved himself to be a good person. Your request is granted.
You have my thanks, Sheriff.
But if we wait until tomorrow, doesn't that mean something could still happen tonight?
Happen tonight? Oh, you mean the possibility that Kirya might try to finish what he started?
Yeah, all we know is that he uses Auguste to poison people, but we still have no idea how to catch him in the act. If he targets Sylvain or Edgar again, we might not be able to stop him.
That may be true, but what if we can take advantage of his desperation?
Desperation? You want us to lure him in?
If we take advantage of this situation and lure him in on purpose, we might finally have the chance to talk to him.
Master, no. That's too dangerous.
You're risking your own life with this.
So, that's your plan. If Kirya learns we're being taken away tomorrow, his last chance to enact his revenge would be tonight.
You can risk your life with us?
In other words, you want to use us as bait to capture him.
Capture? Not necessarily. I just want to talk. What? Are you afraid of him?
Afraid? This is my only chance to make him pay for what he did. I'm spending the rest of my life in prison anyway. I can't just sit back and let him ride off into the sunset with our fortune. There's no way I'm letting him get away with it. Not after what he did to Lucien. As for the danger, everyone else just needs to make preparations in advance to protect us.
I'll admit, it could work. We just need to spread the word that Edgar and Sylvain are leaving tomorrow. Then I'll station some of my men around the hotel. If we have your assistance as well, our chance of success would be even higher.
I still have some reservations. But if you insist on carrying out this plan, I won't deny you my help.
We can help stand guard.
I'll also keep watch.
Although I think Sylvain and myself
Collei trial
should
run?
remain alone in our respective rooms. If Kirya noticed another person in the room, he might decide to turn back. And besides, it's possible he's already transformed Auguste into a potent toxic gas.
You mean if he doesn't see a way to get his hands on the two of you, he might get so desperate that he'll just start using Auguste on everybody?
If that were to happen, everyone standing guard, even the innocent citizens in Port Ormos would all be in danger.
That's why everyone else needs to keep to the shadows.
And you can't exactly evacuate Port Ormos, because then that'll look suspicious too.
You're still recovering. You need to rest.
This old bag of bones doesn't bounce back like it used to. I suppose I'll just have to leave the rest to you.
All right, we can figure out a plan to keep watch later. Right now, I say we split up, start spreading that information before it's too late.
Okay. Well, everything is set up. Hopefully... Hopefully Kirya doesn't seem suspicious.
Mr. Edgar's been detained. He's being taken away tomorrow.
What? He's the one who helped craft all the fragrances for our shop.
He taught my child how to make perfume. How could this happen?
He hasn't been convicted yet. Let's just wait and see what the court has to say.
Oh, everyone on the street is talking about the rumors. No matter where Kirya is hiding, he must have heard them by now.
That's only a matter of
Let's
him
head
not
back
being
to the
suspicious
hotel and
about
take a
it.
break. We can see how the other preparations are
He
going
has
while
to
we're
take the
at
bait.
it.
He has to take the bait, otherwise all it's for nothing. This might be another situation where it's gonna be Trial and Emilie, but it's not gonna be in the domain. So if that happens, I have my work cut out for me. I honestly thought that was Emilie sleeping on the table. Never mind.
Emilie, Sheriff Xian wants to talk to you and the Traveler about our plans for the Night Watch.
Thank you, Collei. But first, here, I prepared a kind of herbal tea that helps calm the spirit. Why don't you have some?
Oh, that's very kind of you, but I'm okay.
Oh, it's not good to be so tense, especially when we've got a long night ahead of us. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I couldn't help but notice that something seems to be on your mind.
Are we over the Collei backstory?
Was it that obvious?
You seem very preoccupied with Kirya's revenge. If there's any,
Are we gonna go into Collei's manga story?
Oh, Hey, Emilie, Collei. Oh, are we interrupting something? No, not at all. This will be easier to talk through with you here anyway. I've just been thinking. If Kirya has the capacity to commit murder while remaining completely undetected, why didn't he target Sylvain along with Lucien last night?
Maybe his revenge just goes a lot
There
deeper.
was door separating them. If his intention was to target both brothers, then there was barely anything standing in his way. Don't you think? When I accompanied Sylvain to his room after Lucien died, and saw how distraught he was, I suddenly realized.
That was Kirya same.
Maybe Kirya did that on purpose. Maybe he wanted Sylvain to experience the pain
That's
of
kinda
losing a loved one
sadistic,
before
though.
he completed his ultimate revenge. So did he attack Edgar as a warning then? To scare Sylvain and Lucien?
Based on what we've heard about Kirya, that may very well be the case.
Losing his sister all those years ago. What has been going through his head? What has he been forced to endure? Whenever I get to thinking like that, I just can't help but wonder. If I were in his place, would I be able to let go of that hatred?
Well, unfortunately, because we know about the manga story, if you're in the situation and you had no external help, no, you wouldn't be able to let go of the hatred. Collei.
I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't think like that. Not after everything he's done. But I just can't help it.
There's nothing wrong with the way you're feeling. Empathy is a part of human nature. In all my years of cleaning up crime scenes, I've witnessed countless families mourn their loved ones. Their cries of devastation and anger still echo through my mind, even now. Some of them even try to stop me, begging me not to erase the last remnants of their loved ones. But getting swept up in those emotions will corrupt your judgment.
So, I don't know about how Emilie got her vision or much about her backstory, but I would assume, because Dendro was all about the concept of trying to move on from a loss of a loved one, whether that be through death, separation, or whatever. Collei said to that too. Maybe Emilie hasn't dealt with the loss of a loved one, but she knows what that feels like because she's been dealing with it every single time in her job and her work. And that's what the Dendro vision chose her. Not because she experienced one, but because she could empathize with one, despite not experiencing one herself. Maybe that's why Dendro chose her.
Surround yourself with fragrance for too long, and your sense of smell will become dull. Allow yourself to be consumed by your emotions.
This makes her one of the more unorthodox Dendro characters, actually.
So while you hold on to that sense of empathy, you also need to ask yourself, do Sylvain and Lucien really deserve to die? How much did they truly know about the Fatui and the Delusion? Did they force Yelena to make those decisions? Answering those questions requires a lot of time and evidence, while a single act of vengeance can put those answers forever out of our reach. I've witnessed a lot of deaths in Fontaine, When someone dies, a certain amount of information can be inferred from the traces left behind at the scene. But generally speaking, death will just leave most questions unanswered, and the whole picture ever incomplete.
Once you're consumed by hatred, it will become next to impossible to think about things that way. For someone like Kirya, I'm sure right and wrong lost all meaning a long time ago.
I'm really interested in what
You're
the
right.
fact that they chose Collei for this
The
too.
fact that we can approach these
This is a
questions
bit of a
from this
callback.
perspective isn't because
Again,
we
if you
know
read that
we're
manga-
better than them. It's because we're fortunate enough not to have suffered that kind of loss.
I'm honestly glad they chose Collei for this one, even though I'm a bit surprised. Because if you guys read that manga, you know exactly what Collei's been through. The hell that she's been through all this time. And again, keep in mind, Collei was just a kid when she went through that. So, of course you can empathize with maybe what Kirya is feeling. Except maybe in Collei's situation, it's even much worse. You gotta feel bad for her, man. I'm just saying.
That also makes us perfectly positioned to stand on the outside and try to pull them back from the brink before it's too late. I understand Kirya's decision, but I still want to stop him. Master, Sylvain, and Kirya. They all deserve to survive.
Huh. The fortunate and the unfortunate.
Edgar?
Emilie, traveler. Huh? Edgar, you're here too?
Oh, it's you two! Didn't you head back to your room to rest, Edgar? Is it really okay for you to be out and about like this?
A little exercise never hurt anyone. Besides, I don't have much time left in Sumeru. So I'd like to take care of my plants while I still can.
We could do that for you, Master.
No need. I've grown attached to these flowers, and this is my last chance to say goodbye. Come tomorrow. I'll be happy to entrust their care to you. I would imagine Sheriff Sham is here for a more important reason.
The Night Watch! You mentioned earlier that we still need to confirm our plans.
That's right. I've stationed some of my men around the surrounding area, but we still don't have anyone standing guard next to Sylvain's room.
Next to Sylvain's room? You mean in Lucien's room?
Exactly. After some discussion, we concluded that Sylvain has the highest risk of being attacked next. You're the most skilled fighter here, traveler. And Emilie's expertise is sure to come in handy in a pinch. That's why I want you two stationed next to Sylvain's room. So, are you up for it?
Fine with me. What about you, Emilie?
Sounds perfectly reasonable. I'll be glad to have your help tonight.
Okay, so it's
traveler.
just Trial Emilie then. And it's probably not in the domain. Which is unfortunate. Oh wait, no, that's Edgar's room. I was so confused for a second. Enter Lucien's room.
Huh. Not a peep. Has Kirya given up on his revenge?
Just like that?
Guess we'll have to keep at it. Still nothing unusual. Paimon took a peek into the room next door and Sylvain's already sleeping.
Cheyenne hasn't issued a warning either.
Perhaps Kirya's true motive was simply forcing Sylvain to confess his crimes. No, that can't be right. If all he wanted was for Sylvain to be convicted for his true crimes, he could have tipped off the Marechaussee Phantom years ago.
And he already killed Lucien. There's no reason to stop there.
There must be something we're missing. Something extremely important.
Maybe we just need to calm down a little. How about some tea? That herbal blend from earlier was pretty tasty.
There's nothing here that we can use to make tea.
You're right. Maybe we can look for a different distraction then, like looking at the flowers. Oh, there's a glaze lily here. Paimon didn't notice it earlier.
Because they don't bloom during the day, they only bloom at night.
Flowers, glaze lilies, incense.
Incense!
Oh no! Sylvain's room, quick!
See, I knew the incense was the one. I knew incense root.
Hey, did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
See, I told you it was
It's the
incense.
older of the merchant brothers, right?
Yeah, I think his name was Sylvain. Poor
Yeah,
guy,
Sylvain's dead.
murdered in cold blood.
First it was Mr. Edgar, then that merchant named Lucien, and now this.
Listen up, everyone. This is an active crime scene. Please, no loitering.
It's been 3 days and they haven't even caught a glimpse of the guy. What is going on?
So what? But when did they set it up?
Do you think it could be the work of an evil spirit? I mean, how do you get away with something like that with so many people watching?
It had to be pre-set up.
Keep it moving, everyone. No loitering.
I suppose I'm next.
You don't know that. Kirya already attacked you once, and you survived. Perhaps he doesn't consider your crime to be worthy of death.
You were the only reason I managed to survive, Emilie. I never did thank you for that, did I?
Even if I wasn't there, Tighnari was also in the vicinity. He would have been able to help.
Is that so? I suppose I'm a very fortunate person then. I have exceptional students, caring friends, and the respect of my peers. If it is indeed my time to go, then I'll die without regrets. But Kirya has nothing. Yelena is gone. Now his enemies are too. It really makes you wonder if there's even a reason to keep on living.
If you really want an answer, I suppose you'll have to ask Kirya himself, once we finally catch him.
Well, I hope it all goes well. Emilie, there's something else I'd like to ask of you. With everything that's happened, holding the exhibition is off the table now. But so many flowers were transported here for the show, some of them thousands of miles away from their homeland. I can't let them wither away with no one to care for them. Whether Kirya gets to me first, or I'm sent back to Fontaine to stand trial, I won't be around to look after them. I know it's a lot to ask, but could I entrust them to your care?
Of course, Master.
Really? Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Now I truly have nothing to worry about.
Sheriff Sham still has some questions for me, so I've gotta go.
Go ahead. Best not to keep him waiting.
It's a traveler.
He can be quite impatient.
I'm sorry, Master.
Wait, what's that bottle?